Welcome, listeners, to Alina's Endless Harvest, an ongoing audio tale of adventure, perseverance, and the rhythms of the earth. In this story, we follow Alina, a young woman with a spirit as vibrant as the fields she tends. Set in the rolling hills of a fictional countryside where the soil is loose and forgiving and the sweet potatoes grow in abundance, this narrative draws from the simple yet profound act of harvesting over 1,000 sweet potatoes, loading them onto a truck, and journeying to sell them at bustling markets. But this is no ordinary tale. It weaves in elements of mystery, community, and unending discovery. The story doesn't conclude, it flows onward like a river, promising more chapters in future episodes. Sit back, relax, and let the words paint the pictures in your mind as we begin with Alina's world. Alina woke up before the sun kissed the horizon, her small cottage nestled at the edge of the vast sweet potato fields. The air was crisp, carrying the earthy scent of dew-kissed soil. At 22 years old, Alina had inherited these lands from her grandmother, a wise woman who had taught her the secrets of farming. The earth gives back what you give it, her grandmother used to say, her hands calloused from years of digging. Alina believed that deeply. Today was harvest day, and not just any harvest. This was the big one. Over 1,000 sweet potatoes, plump and ready, buried in the loose soil beds that made digging a joy rather than a chore. She slipped into her worn overalls, tied her long auburn hair into a ponytail, and grabbed her trusty shovel from the shed. The fields stretched out like a patchwork quilt under the fading stars. Alina's farm was special. The soil here was loose, aerated by years of careful composting and minimal tilling. It was like digging into soft sand, each tuber coming free with a gentle tug. No rocks to battle, no compacted earth to wrestle, just pure, yielding ground that rewarded her efforts. As the first light of dawn broke, Alina began. She started at the eastern bed, where the vines were thickest. Kneeling down, she plunged her hands into the soil, feeling the cool grains part around her fingers. The first sweet potato emerged, a massive one, orange skin gleaming like buried treasure. "One," she whispered to herself, placing it in her basket. Then 2, 3, 4. The rhythm built quickly. Dig, pull, brush off the dirt, stack. The loose soil made it efficient. She could harvest dozens in minutes without breaking a sweat. By mid-morning, her baskets were overflowing. She had already dug up over 200. The sun climbed higher, warming her back as she moved to the next row. Birds chirped overhead, and in the distance, she heard the low hum of her neighbor's tractor. But Alina preferred the old ways, hands in the dirt, connecting with the land. She paused for a moment, wiping sweat from her brow, and thought about why she did this. It wasn't just for the money, it was for the freedom, the independence. Selling these at the market would fund her dreams, maybe expand the farm, or even travel to see other farmlands across the country. As the count climbed to 1,000, Alina's mind wandered to stories her grandmother told, tales of ancient farmers who believed the earth held spirits, and if you harvested with respect, they'd bless your yield. Alina smiled at the thought. Was there a spirit watching her now, guiding her hands to the biggest tubers? She dug deeper into a particularly loose patch, and out came a cluster of 10 at once. "Thank you," she murmured to the soil. Lunchtime came, and Alina sat under a shady oak tree munching on a sandwich. Her muscles ached pleasantly, a reminder of good work. She tallied her progress, 700 and counting. The beds were vast, 10 acres in total, each inch nurtured over months. Planting had been in spring, with seeds carefully selected for their sweetness. Now, in the heart of autumn, the reward was here. Back to work. The afternoon sun beat down, but a gentle breeze kept her cool. Dig, pull, stack. 800. 900. As she approached 1,000, excitement bubbled up. This wasn't just potatoes. It was her livelihood, her passion. Finally, the milestone, 1,000. But she didn't stop. The title of her day was 1,000 plus plus after all. She kept going, harvesting another 100, then 2. The loose soil seemed endless, yielding more and more. By late afternoon, with over 1,200 sweet potatoes piled high, Elena called it for the digging phase. Now came the transport. Her old pickup truck waited at the field's edge, its bed lined with tarps to keep the produce clean. She loaded basket after basket, the truck sagging slightly under the weight. The sweet potatoes formed a mountain of orange, their vines still attached in places, adding a rustic charm. Elena climbed into the cab, the engine roaring to life. The road to the market was a winding country lane, flanked by golden fields and occasional farmhouses. She drove carefully, the truck bouncing gently over potholes. In her rearview mirror, she could see the load shifting slightly, but secure. The market was 20 miles away, in the bustling town of Riverton. There, vendors from all over gathered to sell their goods: fruits, vegetables, handmade crafts. As Alina drove, she turned on the radio, humming along to folk tunes. Her thoughts drifted to what lay ahead. Would the prices be good this year? Sweet potatoes were in demand for holiday pies and casseroles. She imagined the haggling, the smiles of satisfied customers. But little did she know, this journey was about to take an unexpected turn. Arriving at the market, the place was alive with energy. Stalls lined the streets, voices calling out deals. Elena parked her truck in her usual spot near the vegetable section. She hopped out, unfolding a table and arranging her sweet potatoes in neat piles. "Fresh from the farm, over 1,000 harvested today," she called out. Customers trickled in. First, an elderly couple bought a dozen for their grandchildren. Then a chef from the local diner took 50 for his menu. Sales were steady, coins and bills filling her pouch. But as the sun dipped lower, a mysterious figure approached. He was tall, cloaked in a long coat, his face shadowed by a hat. "Impressive harvest," he said, his voice deep and intriguing. "I've been looking for someone like you." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Oh, and why's that?" "I'm from the Agricultural Guild," he replied. "We seek farmers with exceptional yields. Your loose soil beds, they're legendary in certain circles. We have a proposition. Join us for a larger venture, fields beyond your imagination, harvests that never end." Elena's heart raced. This could be the opportunity she dreamed of, but was it too good to be true? She sold a few more potatoes while pondering. The man left her a card with an address in a distant city. "Think about it," he said, vanishing into the crowd. As evening fell, Elena had sold nearly half her load. The market lights flickered on, casting a warm glow. She packed up the rest, planning to return tomorrow. Driving home, the truck lighter now, her mind buzzed with possibilities. The guild? Larger fields? This harvest was just the beginning. Back at the cottage, Elena unloaded the remaining potatoes into her storage shed. Exhausted but exhilarated, she sat by the fire, sipping tea. The card from the man lay on the table. What adventures awaited? She decided to investigate. Tomorrow she'd harvest more, there were still beds untended, and perhaps set out on a new path. But the story doesn't end here. Oh no, it continues. The next day, Elena rose early again, the soil calling her back. She dug into a new bed, the loose earth parting easily. 1, 2, 3, the count began anew. As she worked, a letter arrived by post from the guild, inviting her to a secret meeting. Intrigue built. Elena loaded another truckful, over 500 this time, and headed not to the local market, but towards the city address on the card. The drive was longer, the landscape changing from rural fields to urban sprawl. Arriving at a grand building, she was greeted by the man before. "Welcome, Elena. Your harvest skills are needed for something bigger." Inside, she learned the guild wasn't just about farming. It was a network protecting ancient seeds, rare varieties threatened by modern agriculture. They needed her to harvest a legendary field hidden in the mountains where sweet potatoes grew wild in soil so loose it was like powder. Elena agreed to help, but on her terms. She returned home, harvested another 1,000, sold them quickly, and prepared for the journey. Packing her truck with supplies, she set off at dawn, the road winding up into the hills. The mountain path was treacherous, but her truck held steady. Arriving at the hidden valley, Elena gasped. The fields were immense, the soil the loosest she'd ever seen, almost floating when disturbed. She began harvesting immediately, tubers larger than any before. 1,000, 2,000, the yield was endless. But as she dug deeper, she uncovered something unexpected, an ancient artifact buried in the soil, a glowing stone etched with symbols. The guild members explained it was a relic that enhanced growth, explaining the abundance. Elena's role grew. She transported loads down the mountain, selling at secret markets where buyers paid premium for these magical potatoes. Friendships formed with other farmers in the guild. Adventures ensued, evading corporate spies who wanted the relic, navigating storms that threatened the fields. One stormy night, as Elena drove her truck through pouring rain, the road washed out. She had to improvise, using her harvest knowledge to build a makeshift bridge from vines and tubers. Safe on the other side, she continued, the story unfolding further. Back in the valley, she experimented with new planting techniques, mixing the loose soil with compost from rare herbs. The potatoes grew sweeter, larger. Harvests became daily rituals, each load trucked to ever-distant markets. Elena met a fellow adventurer, a young man named Theo, who joined her quests. Together, they harvested thousands more, their truck becoming a symbol of resilience. They discovered underground caves where soil beds extended infinitely, promising eternal yields. Challenges arose. A rival faction tried to steal the relic. Elena and Theo defended the fields, using clever traps made from harvest tools. Victorious, they celebrated with a feast of roasted sweet potatoes. The guild expanded, Elena at its helm. She trained new farmers, sharing secrets of loose soil. Truck convoys formed, transporting harvests across continents. Markets boomed, communities thrived. Yet mysteries lingered. The relic's symbols hinted at ancient civilizations. Elena delved deeper, harvesting while uncovering ruins. Each dig revealed more: pottery, scrolls, treasures. One day, in a particularly loose bed, Elena and Theo set off at dawn from the hidden valley. The back of the truck was overflowing again, this time over 2,500 sweet potatoes, glowing orange under the morning sun. The soil here was so loose that overnight, fresh tubers had already pushed up through the surface, as if the earth itself was saying, "Take more, take more." The road down the mountain was narrow and winding, full of sharp turns. Elena gripped the steering wheel tightly while Theo studied the map. "Theo, this path goes straight through the jungle. Are we sure this is right?" Elena, smiling, "Trust the truck, Theo. It's our loyal companion. And these sweet potatoes, they're going to reach people who need them." Deep in the jungle, they suddenly heard a strange noise, like something large moving through the trees. Elena slammed on the brakes. What was that? Maybe a deer or something bigger. Then, ahead, a huge black truck appeared, blocking the path. It had the AgriCorp logo on the side, the same company that had tried to steal the relic before. Elena's heart raced. "Theo, get ready. We're not running, we're fighting." The AgriCorp truck stopped. A man in a sharp suit stepped out, face hard. "Elena, we know you have the relic. Hand it over or you won't sell another sweet potato." Elena laughed out loud. "You think I'll be scared? These sweet potatoes are my life, and this truck, it's my weapon." Theo whispered an idea. "Elena, the soil here is super loose. We can trap them." Elena grinned, shifted gears, and swung the truck to the side. As she did, the tires kicked up a huge cloud of loose dirt, creating a massive pit right in front of the AgriCorp vehicle. Their truck plunged straight into it, wheels spinning uselessly in the soft earth. The men shouted in frustration as Elena and Theo drove past, laughing. By evening, they had sold over 2,000. They kept 500 for the next day. That night, they sat at a small seaside dhaba, sipping tea under the stars. "Theo, we won today, Elena, but AgriCorp won't give up." "Elena, let them come. We have the earth on our side. We have each other." Just then, a message arrived from the guild. "We found another valley, even bigger. Beneath it lies an ancient temple. Go and see what secrets it holds." Elena put down her tea, eyes shining. Theo, get the truck ready. We leave at sunrise. New adventure awaits. The next morning, the truck was loaded with fresh sweet potatoes again. They drove toward the new valley. The journey was long, but their spirits were high. On the way, they met an old woman. Alina and Theo had been driving for hours. The truck was loaded to the brim, over 4,000 sweet potatoes this time, the biggest harvest yet. The relic's power had made them even sweeter, larger, and brighter orange than ever before. The back of the truck groaned under the weight, but the old pickup held strong. Theo looked at the GPS. We're almost there, Alina. Jap Market is just 20 minutes away. It's the biggest vegetable and fruit market in the region. Thousands of stalls, buyers from every city. Alina smiled. Perfect. Let's make this count. These sweet potatoes deserve the best price. As they entered the city, the road widened into a busy highway. Trucks, cars, and scooters zoomed past. The air smelled of street food, spices, and fresh produce. Alina's heart raced with excitement. Traffic and horns honking, distant market chatter. They finally reached the entrance of Jap Market. It was huge, rows and rows of colorful stalls, people shouting prices, buyers bargaining, trucks living in the forest. She told them, that temple holds an old secret. Whoever grows sweet potatoes there becomes the guardian of the earth. Alina wondered, was this her true calling, to protect the land? When they finally reached the temple, they saw fields stretching forever, soil so loose it felt like walking on clouds. Alina dug her hand in and pulled out 30 to 40 tubers at once. The harvest began. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. The count never seemed to stop. But then a voice echoed from inside the temple. Whoever touches the relic must face the test. Alina and Theo stepped inside. There was a huge stone with words carved in ancient script. Live for the earth, and the earth will live for you. Alina touched the relic, and a bright light filled the temple. The sweet potatoes grew even faster, even sweeter. But the story doesn't end here. Now Alina and Theo have a new mission to protect the earth. New fields, new enemies, new friends. Loading crates. Alina found her usual spot near the main vegetable section, a wide area under a big canopy. She parked the truck carefully, hopped out, and started unloading. Theo helped stack the sweet potatoes into neat pyramids on the table and on tarps spread on the ground. The pile was massive, orange mountains glowing in the morning sun. Alina tied her apron and called out loudly, "Fresh from the mountains, relic-grown sweet potatoes, extra sweet, extra big, 4,000 plus just harvested. Come and see." People started gathering immediately. First came the small vendors. "How much for 50? Alina, "Special price for you, 20 rupees per kilo." Then came the restaurant owners. One big chef in a white uniform bought 300 for his holiday menu. "Chef, these are perfect for pies and curries. I'll take 300. Word spread fast. A group of hotel managers arrived, tasting samples Alina cut for them. Manager, "Wow, so sweet. We need 500 for our buffet." By midday, the sales were flying. Alina and Theo were busy weighing, packing, and collecting cash. Theo handled the money, Alina handled the customers. They worked like a perfect team. Busy market sounds of people talking, money clinking, crates moving. By early afternoon, they had sold 2,000 sweet potatoes. The truck was half empty. Alina wiped sweat from her forehead and smiled. "Alina, Theo, we're doing it. This is the best day ever." But then trouble arrived. A group of men in black jackets pushed through the crowd. They were from AgriCorp. Again, the same company that had tried to block them in the jungle. Their leader, the man in the suit, stepped forward. "Man, Alina, this ends now. Give us the relic or we'll make sure no one buys from you again." The crowd went quiet. Everyone watched. Alina stood tall. "Alina, you think you can scare me here, in front of all these people? These sweet potatoes are for everyone, not for your greedy company. And the relic? It belongs to the earth, not to you." The man laughed coldly. "You're alone. What can you do?" But Alina wasn't alone. The market people knew her. She had been coming here for years, always fair, always kind. Suddenly, the vendors and buyers started shouting. Vendor 1, "Leave her alone!" Chef, "We stand with Alina!" Manager, "If you touch her, no one buys from AgriCorp ever again." The crowd closed in around the AgriCorp men. They looked nervous. The leader backed off. "Man, this isn't over." But he and his men left quickly, disappearing into the crowd. Crowd cheering, clapping. The market erupted in applause. People came forward to buy even more. Alina, teary-eyed, "Thank you, all of you." The rest of the day was a celebration. They sold the remaining 2,000 plus sweet potatoes. By evening, the truck was completely empty. Alina counted the money. It was the biggest earning she had ever made. Sunset sounds, market winding down, happy laughter. As the sun set over the market, Alina and Theo sat on the empty truck bed, eating roasted sweet potatoes. The stars were coming out. Theo, "Alina, we did it. 4,000 sold, the truck is empty." Alina, "Yes, for now, but tomorrow there will be more fields, more harvests. The earth never stops giving." They looked at each other and smiled. Soft, emotional music building. Alina stood up, looked at the empty truck, and patted its hood. Alina, "Thank you, old friend. You brought us through mountains, jungles, and markets. But today, the journey ends here. For now." Theo, "What next?" Alina, "We go home, plant new seeds, let the relic work its magic, and when the next harvest is ready, we'll load the truck again." They climbed into the cab one last time. The engine started with a familiar roar, but this time they weren't heading to another market. They were heading home. Truck driving away slowly, fading into the night. As they drove out of the city, the lights of Jap Market twinkled behind them. Alina looked in the rearview mirror. Alina, softly, "This chapter is done, but the story, the harvest, it goes on forever." Uplifting acoustic guitar, fading with hope and peace. And so, friends, Alina's journey to Jap Market ends here. 4,000 sweet potatoes sold, the truck empty, the heart full. But the fields are waiting. New tubers are already growing. The harvest never stops. Thank you for listening to this long, beautiful chapter of Alina's endless harvest. Until the next adventure calls, keep believing in the earth. Good night.